Okay, here we go. All right. Thank you for joining. I'm Stefano Maffulli. I'm Director of Community at Dreamos, and that's my, if you want to ask questions, you can use that URL during the presentation. So let's start. So let's say that you write code all the time, and you are here because you're interested in joining an open source project. And you write code, or you're a marketing person. You deal with open source communities all the time, and you know, whether it's a front-end C, JavaScript library, or a C library or something, open source is everywhere. And whether you're coding, you're doing marketing, you engage with communities all over your job. So you think it would be good for you and for the company to contribute to open source, right? But so you got to ask your boss, like you got to go and confront and get that feeling, right? You have to deal with it. You have to prepare your slides. You have to prepare your presentation. You need to be convincing with a long, recent email. And you think you've done a good job, but the answer is no, right? You can't do that. We can't. And usually, unless you're someone lucky, like Florian here, who said he's never worked for a bad company, so the answer might be no. But if it doesn't mean necessarily that the company is bad or that you're in a bad place. It may need that Florian here has been just lucky that he's worked for a company that does software, that sells software, or services on top of that software. So it's much easier for companies that way, structured that way, to be contributing, to allow their personnel, their employees to contribute to open source. But if you're selling shoes, for example, and software is just an enabler of your business, then things are a little bit more complicated because software is a cost. So any contribution to open source is even more costs. And usually both concerns, in my experience, can be related to mainly three type of issues, or three or four. One is time. So for example, time where contributing to open source can be seen as a waste of time. It will make the time to release new features to serve your customers longer. And these are easy to address. Or money, for example, so where it's expensive because it impacts revenue when you need to focus on product features and things that customers will pay for. Or added support, like if you're contributing to open source, then you are the last one touching the code on GitHub, and therefore you own that code, and it's your issue. Other issues are intellectual property ones. So for example, patents. These are very hard to deal with. Arbitration clauses, CLA requirements, copyright assignments, and these are much harder, like in these cases. There are other legal concerns too. Policies, they're internally at the company. Some secrets. You don't want people to know that you're using Apache struts in your products, and therefore you don't want to be associated with those projects. And these are the harder ones to deal with. So how to address them is the harder one, the hardest problem to solve. So if you're working with, if your objections are in time and money, it's a little bit easier to build a case to support your involvement in open source with your boss. You can convincingly build data that support the fact that if you don't contribute to open source, you may save money for this cycle, for this quarter, but you will end up spending more for the future, right? Carrying patches, for example, is one of those. The other solution that you can put is just simply don't ask. I mean, this actually works. So many people I've known that contributed to open source quite quietly in a basement. They've done it, and nobody ever noticed. But this only works if your company is either small or you don't run. I mean, it's risky. It's a risky business because you may get caught, or you may stumble on a landmine, which is a patent issue, or you may be contributing against your company's policies. So you really need to be aware. And Julian probably can pull this off because he has many years of experience in open source. And maybe he thinks that he knows which parts of his contributions are allowed and which are not, or he just doesn't care. Knowing the character, that might be the case. So everybody can be convinced. I think that the main thing that you need to do in order to convince your boss to let you work on open source is to find out what his strategies are, what his objectives are, and align your proposal, your pitch, your request with those objectives. If it's about time that they're concerned, timing issues, that you're wasting time, then you can go out and look for examples of other people who have wasted time instead. Or if it's money, then think about ways that you can reduce the cost of support, cost of upgrades and maintenance with your involvement into the community. But the easy way out is always to say, in the end, I quit, I give up. I cannot work, I cannot deal with this. So this is pretty much a very quick overview, and I think we have some time to take questions if you have any curiosities. Otherwise, I'm available. I'm always happy to chat more. Thanks.